Okay, in this tutorial what I'm going to look at is the ESE synth, which is one of the little ensemble synths. It's this one here. It's a very basic synth. The problem with a lot of the synths in Logic is that they look more complicated than they really are. So we're just going to take a look at this and show you some of the parameters that you get. This is just the default sound that comes up. This is very good for creating synth patches, string pads, atmospheres, that kind of thing. Just going to quickly show you this drop-down menu down the bottom. This can change the positive and negative, what we call the bender range, which is the pitch bend. So at the moment it's set to 12, so it will pitch bend up an octave. So if I hold a note and use the pitch bend up, it will pitch bend up. And here I can change it so that the pitch bend down is different. So if I pitch bend it down, it's only going down 2 semitones. So you can have different bender ranges there, and you can tune the global tuning. So if you're trying to play along with something that's slightly out of tune, you can potentially tune it up or down by sense. So I'm just going to shut that. That's all there is in there. So what we've got is this is a very, very basic subtractive synthesizer. Subtractive in that you've got an oscillator, and then what you're going to do is you're going to carve away from that sound, and you're going to take away from it by filtering it and by changing the envelope, the volume envelope over time, so that you're actually going to be taking away from the sound, hence subtractive synthesis. So what we have over here on the left, this is just your key range. So if I hold a key, all I'm doing is holding middle C at the moment. So you can hear there that that's all that's doing is just changing the range of keys that you play, kind of like the octave. What we have next is the actual waveform of the oscillator. Now down here, this little kind of turquoise dot will show you what you're selecting. So at the moment you're selecting a sawtooth waveform. I'm just going to turn some of these effects off so we can hear more what's going on. Turn the cutoff up. So we've got just a sawtooth waveform here, and what we can also do is we can select the square or pulse wave here, which is much harder sound. And also what you can do is you can have any points in between that kind of waveform and a pulse width modulated waveform, which is where the widths of the pulse have actually been modulated and changed. So if I just move this, you'll hear the sound and the difference that makes. So you've got a choice of varying different waveforms. Although you've only essentially got one oscillator, you can have a variety of tones. And below that you've got this vibrato or pulse width modulation. Now if you're set to sawtooth here, what that means is that this will be doing vibrato, and this is the speed of the vibrato. So you can either get a very subtle effect, or something more dramatic. Now over the other side, when you're on the pulse waves, somewhere here for example, this will now be doing the pulse width modulation, so that will actually modulate that over time. This is like an LFO. So you can actually get the pulse width to kind of warble around for you using the LFO. So that's the first main section. The next section is your filter section, and you've got a low pass filter here. So anything past the cutoff will be cut out. So if we pull it down here, you can only hear the bass frequencies, and the high harsh frequencies are taken out. So anything to the right hand side of this, okay, is going to be cut out. So you can have a bright open sound, or you can close the cutoff and filter out. And you've also got resonance. The resonance peak on this is really quite heavy. So I'm going to just turn the volume down. That's the main volume. Because the resonance will artificially boost that cutoff frequency, so we hear it much more. If you look at the video for Vanguard, I've actually got a picture of that showing what happens. I'll just quickly do it now as well. If we just load up an EQ and put the analyzer on, you can see that a narrow band is being boosted by this cutoff region, by the resonance, sorry. And as the cutoff moves down, and then it's much softer there, and you can't see the peaks. So I'm just going to get rid of that EQ now. So the next thing is the AR, which is your attack and release. This is your envelope section. So the AR init is your initial level for the attack and the release. So where you set it depends on how much of the volume change you get. So at the moment it's almost off. So you're only going between a 0 and a very small level. Whereas as you move this up, it's got more range to work over. So if it's set all the way up, this will be completely off, this will be completely on. And we've got the timing between it. You've also got the velocity filter, so you can actually affect the filter with how hard you hit the keys. So as I move this attack up, you'll notice that it's taking time for the sound to get to its maximum level. And the release, once I release the key, at the moment it's turning itself completely off. But I can turn this on and get it to sustain. And the release time will die away gradually. You've also got the velocity affects the filter, so how hard you press it, and also the velocity can affect the volume, so how hard you hit it, the harder you hit it, the sounds will get louder. Whereas when it's off, I'm hitting out the same volume, it's coming out no matter how hard I press it. And then you've got the main volume. So what you've also got here is some nice effects at the end, so I'm just going to filter that down a bit. And turn on some of these effects. So you've got a chorus, you've got a secondary chorus, and you've got an ensemble, which is like a much more warbly kind of chorus. So that's kind of it. If I just create a string pad just to show you how versatile this is, I'm just going to get rid of my EQ from my channel inserts. I'm going to turn down this vibrato. I am going to make it nice and slow. I'm going to turn it down an octave. I'm going to put it on the chorus too because it sounds nice. I'm going to put my bit low. And now to top this off, what you want to do is really put some reverb on it. So I've got a really nice reverb called EOS, which I love putting on string pads. And I've got a 10% insert preset where the mix basically goes to 10%. So now you get this kind of So really simple synth to use and can get some really nice sounds. It's based for string pads, which is why I like it, because you know you'd be surprised how many songs have string pads in the background just to thicken the sound and fill it out. So they are very useful to get your head around. You don't have EOS, unfortunately, haha. So an example would be putting it on the Space Designer instead and putting it on something crazy big, so a large space, a large hall or something, and you've got some really long ones down here, so something like the what have we got, large indoor spaces, there you go, the dome, that's a good one, and let's turn it right up. So the reverb really helps it to kind of blossom and bloom. So there you go. Have a go at it. It's got some limited presets, but they can kind of show you what it's capable of. So that's similar to what I just created, that analog pad. I'm just going to turn off the Space Designer for a minute so you can hear them just on their own. And we've got some basic soft pads, which is the same, just with a bit more. Oh, crikey, that's a bit crazy. There you go. You can get some quite different timbres for it. So experiment and have fun. See you next time.